I'm here for you. Not that it matters anymore, but I wanted you to know that I still love you. And no one will ever replace you in my life. I finally met someone new. He's amazing. But he's not you. I miss you. And I'm so sorry that I took you for granted. I'm sorry.
Hey, sis. I'm sorry about the argument we had.
It's okay. But I'm very disappointed in how you did her like that.
I mean, but she
nothing. Do you understand where we're standing right now?
Yeah.
At least you had the opportunity to make things right.
Hello, everybody. It's Annika LaQuette here, the host and creator of Never Gave a Nine podcast. Y'all, I have somebody on with me today. I have
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here. You know, I like what you're doing as well, so I'm excited.
Excited too. I'm happy that you're here, okay? I'm very happy. I saw a lot of your accolades, and I'm like, okay, you need to come on the show like now, okay? Y'all, I met Wade on, I think, a Facebook podcast group, if I'm not mistaken. Either one. But I told y'all, we network around here, okay? So, Wade, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where you from and all that.
So I'm Wade Simmons, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Grew up on the west side and the south suburbs. I've been in the funeral business going on 15 years. Also, independent filmmaking for about 9. Did a pro wrestling training. Jack of all trades and master love.
Chicago. All right, we have Chicago in the house, y'all. Okay, I'm excited. All right. So you did just mention that you are a filmmaker. Also, I saw that you're a mortician as well. Okay, am I right? Yes. Okay, and you also a pro wrestler, like you stated. Okay, so those combinations of like avenues, like how do you put all those together? How like you balance all of that? Like, how do you even like describe to anyone what you do?
So, first of all, I always start out by saying that I always knew what I wanted to do. As a child, I'm like, I want to be a funeral director. I want to be a film director. And so I ended up going to school for both. I didn't know that I was going to end up going to film school, but I ended up going to film school because when I was going to school to be a funeral director, it's like you have to take this test called, like they call it the capstone or whatever. But before you can even sit for the national board exams, you have to take an exit exam in the school. So finished the program, but I was trying to pass the exit exam. So I'm like, you know what? If I don't pass this exam, I'm gonna have to do something else. So I looked into trying a few different things, and I ended up going to film school. And right when I went to film school, I ended up passing the funeral director side of the exam. So I knew I was on the right track. But to your question, as far as being in the funeral business, I mean, you pretty much like an event planner, right? But just for a homegoing celebration. So I would say that it's along the lines of being an event planner. If you're on the embalming side, then of course, you would be, taking the loved one into your care and just preparing them for their, service so that the people can, view their loved one and have that last memory of them, and you want to make sure that you're really good at that. So funeral directors wear many hats. I mean, because again, from, being on the side of dealing with the family to dealing with the decedent. So it's a very interesting job, but like I like that you get to meet people, you get to talk to people, you get to, just get to know people and get to hear their story. Because to me, filmmaking and funeral service both have this in common, that it's storytelling. When you're celebrating somebody's life, you're telling their story. You're bringing people together to celebrate the life of that person, to kind of it's almost like you're watching their movie when you hear about their life. And how they grew up, and so like to me, it's kind of similar in that.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so I was gonna bring up like another part of that because you said they both like are similar together, like you telling a story. So that's what I was gonna ask. Like, how does all three of them, so pro wrestling, being a mortician, and also your filmmaking career, like how all of those connect together?
So to me, I would say that they all connect together in the sense that all three of them are storytelling, because even with wrestling, right, you hear a lot of the professional wrestlers talk about how like you're telling a story in the ring. Each match tells a story. Each like, rivalry tells a story. So to me, they're all storytelling in a sense, but also I would say that they're all things that bring people together, because if you look at like on the funeral side, right, like, we've all been to them, a lot of people that haven't seen people in years. And, it's like, man, I remember we grew up together and I remember this and remember that, you see everybody. And then how wrestling, it brings a lot of people together. And even with filmmaking, right, like from behind the camera to in front of the camera, you bring people together. So I think that's like one of the best impacts about both of them, is that you bring people. Of course, I always say that in the funeral business, of course, if we didn't have to go through that, I would be fine with doing something else. But I understand that it's a part of life, and so it's something that is needed. And so you just try to celebrate the person's life, and you try to be there for the family. But it is sometimes some good things comes out of it too, though, because a lot of times people do get to see each other. But it's like, I'm always for seeing each other at a better occasion, though, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all bring people together.
Okay, I like that. I like how you said they bring people together. See, when it comes to like death, it's very sad, and you make it seem like it's a beautiful thing. So
Well,
it's very interesting.
yeah, because it's like it's something that we don't always have control over, right? And
True.
to me, I understand, like, okay, I feel like, when a person is maybe like, let's say for instance, like I knew somebody that lived to be 100.
Hmm.
A lot of times when, I've known some older people that's like, you get to a certain age, they like, look, I'm ready to go home. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's a different type of feeling than when it's like somebody that was, taken away early in a tragedy or something like that.
Hmm.
That's always, I mean, it hurts either way, but it's like, it's a part of life. And like I said, somebody has to do it. But I think that if a person is going to do it, it has to be in your heart. But I
Right.
mean, but of course, like we can only just take one day at a time. But I always say
Mm.
that, like, that's why you just got to focus on living and, live the best way you can. And, just love people, love God, treat people right, and just, just do the best you can.
And yeah, you are definitely right about that. Okay, so how do you balance like that intense life, like your personal life, and you balancing like other people's lives? Like, tell me how you feel about that.
It can get a little bizarre sometimes because, like,
Hmm.
again, being in the funeral business is not, how can I say, like I said, it's something that you really have to enjoy. You have to have it in your heart to serve and to do, because if not, this is, if a like, and I'm gonna be honest, like there's a lot of people who's in this business who go through a lot of things dealing with this business, but their love for what they do keeps them doing it. And again, you have to have a heart for it, but you have to know that when you step into this business, is that this is not a 9 to 5 type of industry. This industry is one of those things where you have to always be available, because suppose you're out, with your family or whatever, and you get a call like, hey, can you go pick someone up for me? Or can you, go over to this house or that house? And, you don't want to leave a family waiting. So that's the responsibility of people when they step into it. Yes, you got to prioritize time with your family too, but at the same time, you understand that in that business that you have to be available. And that's the one thing that you don't pick when it happens. You just have to
Mm.
be available. It's just like I say, sometimes I have days where I don't, get any calls, and then I might have a day where somebody just randomly calls me out of nowhere, like, hey, what you doing? Can you? And you don't want to keep a family waiting. So, it's kind of an
Yeah,
obligation.
sure. Okay, so I saw that you had like a few of your little films. I saw that like the little like short films, and you sent me a link. I saw all of them, which I love. Okay, and they're short films, and I saw that it's like centered around your life. So, what was the purpose of, I believe, what is called Happiness Matters? Tell me about that.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you watched that one. Well,
Of
so
course.
that one's because like I feel like, especially like in relationships, right? Like, sometimes people can be together so long to where people kind of take the other person for granted. I
Right.
think it's important to check in with the person that you're with. I think it's important to, make sure that they're not putting on the front or you're not putting on the front. Like their happiness matters too.
Right.
And I think that like, of course, especially being in this generation, like a lot of times everything is not like black and white or superficial. Like
Mhm.
sometimes you have to really check in with people because you really don't know. You can be sitting in a room with a person and, and be around the person every day, but their mind is somewhere else. You understand what I'm saying? So
Okay.
but I mean, it may be a little uncomfortable for some people, but I think that it's important to check in and just see what's going on because you just, things happen.
Yeah, you're right. And y'all need to go check out his films. They're very good, okay? So get into it, all right? So, okay. So I saw, like I said, that you are a wrestler, you play a character, and in your funerals you also honor people's real stories. And in film you create new stories. So how do those dynamics influence how you think about your legacy?
Uh, wow, that's a great question.
Mhm.
I think I think to me, I don't so much think about it as a legacy. I just think about it like it's me just doing what I enjoy
Mm,
and just, thinking about how like if I'm going to live my life, because I know I'm not going to be here forever. But if I'm going to live my life, then I'm going to make sure that I do things that I enjoy. And
mm,
I think, and and like I said, that's a great question because like, some years ago, I got diagnosed with something called like spasmodic dysphonia. I'm gonna tell you what it is.
yeah, tell
It's
me
like
about
a
it.
rare vocal disorder where from stress your voice strain. So
Oh,
I was working at a funeral home full time. And over time, like I was in the process of trying to get my intern license and all that good stuff. And
yeah.
it was kind of taking some time. And I wasn't really focusing as much on film and the wrestling and things of that nature. But then my voice started straining real bad. And everybody was
Mm,
like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, I sound like a totally different person. And I remember going to a voice therapist and she was like, well, you know what? You're a filmmaker and you're doing wrestling. She was like, why don't you take a break from being at the funeral home and just
right.
pursue film? And what ended up happening was like back in 2023, I ended up leaving the funeral home that I was at. I was there for 13 years, but my license hadn't came yet. And
Okay.
right when I left, my license came afterwards. So I started my own mortuary transportation service along with the support of some other funeral directors. And it actually worked out. And it's been up and down, but it's like, to be honest with you, my voice got healed. It came
Okay.
back because to me, sometimes I feel like when you know what you're meant to do, you can't limit yourself,
Mm, come on.
because sometimes when you do things, how can I put it? I guess I feel like when you just embrace like one thing and you know that you're meant to do more,
Yeah.
sometimes you can box yourself in and
Mhm.
people don't know this, really realize that, but stress affects everybody in different ways.
It does.
And so to me, it's like, I have to do it the way that I like to do it, the way that I love to do it. And that's what keeps my love for it, because you can get burnt out because I've talked to quite a few funeral directors that actually were licensed way ahead, before I even got my intern license. And they were like, when I talked to them, some of them like, look, man, I ain't even practicing no more. I'm like, what?
What?
Now, went to school and I was in there struggling and stuff. And
Mhm.
they like, no, I can't, bro, I couldn't do it. Like, especially after COVID, right? Like a lot of people got burned, like my friend Cassie and, I have
Mm,
another friend, Chloe, down in California. Like they are not like, they like, wait, we moved on. We not. And then my good
mm.
buddy Dale, if you mention anything about a funeral business to him, he gonna tell Wade, let it go. Let it go.
Wow, that's crazy. I completely understand. Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I really do. You do get burned out, and your body will let you know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
so mm,
and you gotta understand that when you're serving people at that time, you gotta be in your right mind because you're dealing with people that are grieving and sometimes you have some family members that are understanding and you can work together. You have some family members that just are upset and they may take
mm,
their anger out on you. So it's like you just have to be in the right mental space. Because
yeah.
I do know some funeral directors that are kind of like firecrackers too, and I'm like, wow, like look, I'm like, this probably not the right business for that, but hey, I mean, they passed their test, so who am I to say, right?
Right. I understand. I completely understand that. Yeah, because yeah, you taking on people's like traumas and
Yeah.
sadness and stuff. It gets very heavy. Okay. So I completely understand that. So as I stated before, your films are centered around you from what I see. Like all of your characters are you. So like what is your vision behind creating each film?
So my vision actually, and that's another great question, was really when I first created it. I actually created that web series when I was in mortuary college, actually, even before I went to film school. Because I ain't gonna lie, I was struggling. I needed extra credit,
True.
so I wrote a script because that's what I love to do. Like outside of that, I love writing. That's something that I would do all day, every day. I mean, if I got paid a lot of money to do it, I would have no trouble with that because I love writing, and
Right.
so I had wrote this script based like about this guy who went to mortuary college and he was trying to date this girl and he had a concept of where he wanted to go, what he wanted to do, but the young lady that he was interested in, her mind was kind of somewhere else, which isn't a bad thing. Some people just in life have to discover who they are, and we still sometimes having new discoveries. I think that that's important because sometimes you learn a whole lot of things about yourself in time.
Yes.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, but he knows what he wanted. She's kind of like, I want this, but I don't want it. I want it. So I was writing something along that premise. And so when I went to film school, I was going to like work on pitching an idea to a network. And one of my teachers, Bradley LaRocco, he said, look, man, you're a young black man from Chicago. You're in the funeral business. You got a really interesting background. Why don't you tell your own story? And so,
Come on now.
of course, it wasn't that $1 million budget, but I just started making my own stuff. And so, and then even with the acting part, like I wasn't intending on acting. I was strictly trying to be behind the camera and I wanted to just write and produce and direct and just work with people and put the projects together. But what ended up happening was that the actor that was supposed to play Wade didn't show up. And
Oh.
so I ended up doing the part and I never released that one right, but I ended up doing the part and so I just kept doing it. And I'm grateful to God that I did it because if I would have left it up to some other people, then I probably wouldn't have been able to make as many episodes as I have. So I feel like everything happens the way that it do, it's meant to be. So yeah, that's kind of how that happened.
Man, see, everything happens for a reason. It really does. Because you were playing you. So who's
Yeah.
the best person to play you than you? So you were right. I like that. Okay. You know what? Have you ever thought about like partner up with Tubi?
I've talked to some people at Tubi before. I've talked to some people like kind of on different platforms.
Yeah.
So I would, if I do anything like to that degree, I would like to make a feature. But I'm also like moving more towards making documentaries cuz
Ooh,
cuz I feel like you know what, a lot of times when you do something right, you know what you want to do, but once you actually start doing it, you find like your niche. You
yeah.
find what you enjoy. And so I've noticed that me personally, I like making documentaries. I
Okay.
like them because you get to meet people, you get to hear their story. And let's be real, like nowadays, there are some television shows that are doing good on some streaming platforms, but if we be real, a lot of more people now pay more attention to real content.
Yes.
They're not even really thinking about no celebrities too much like that. They looking at like everyday people who are
Mhm.
just living life and just being more real and transparent. And, I think that to me, that's how it's became more entertaining to a lot of people. So
Yes.
like, I'd really like making documentaries because like you get to spend time with somebody else and you get to enter like their life and learn about them and tell their story and put it together. And I don't know. I think to be honest with you, I kind of like that a lot better than narrative films.
Interesting.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I like working with actors and stuff like that. I like that part too, but honestly, I love documentaries because like just kind of like what we're doing now, like you get to
Yeah.
sit down with somebody and you get to just hear their story because I love people and like I like to just know the things that people have overcame in their life and stuff like that. Like to me, I think that's a lot more fun. And then you
Yep.
get to, like I say, working with actors is great, but it's kind of it's a different feeling when you're making a documentary.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, the back and forth like me and you doing right now. Yeah, that's like almost a mini documentary because like I'm
Yeah,
like showing people that this is your story and this is the reason why the show exists. I want you to tell your story. So
yeah.
Yeah, we're literally doing it right now. So y'all see it right now.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about your pro wrestling career. So, what advice would you give someone who wants to enter into that field?
I would say that you might be surprised, but right there in your town or your state or wherever, a lot of times if you do your research, you'll find that they do have local promotions.
Okay.
And a lot of times I would say get in touch with a local promotion, find out where they train their guys and girls, and, just give it a shot, and just see if you connect with it and see if it's something you like. Because I never thought that I would even be training for it, but that happened because I was trying to make a documentary.
Right.
And me trying to make a documentary, I actually wrestled in high school too. So I was talking to a wrestler by the name of Steve Bonds. He's been in it for a long time. He's been in a few different promotions and traveled the world, and he trains people now. So it's like, well, he's been training people for years, but I reached out to him and we started talking. And he like, well, come to the school or whatever. So I wasn't able to get there just yet because I was working at the funeral home on the week. On
Right.
Fridays and Saturdays,
Yep.
you already know if you're in that field, you already know that's where you're gonna be. So ain't no
Mm.
way around that. But I ended up going out there on one Thursday evening, and he introduced me to some of the wrestlers and stuff. And then he like, when you gonna start training? So I'm like, oh, next week. So I
That's funny.
ended up hanging around it for like 2 years and stuff. So that's kind of how that happened. And I had a lot of fun, met a lot of cool people, and I'm still working on that documentary, by the way, too. So I'm supposed to be filming. I'm actually supposed to be interviewing him next week at like 6 years later. Come on now, right?
What? Perfect timing. Oh my gosh. Okay. Love that. Okay. So speaking of, like, do you have any upcoming projects you're working on or anything you'd like to share today?
Yes, so I have a new web series I'm working on. It's limited. It's
Okay.
kind of along the lines of my Love Always Wins series. It's actually called Together. It's, me playing a different character, and then a young lady by the name of Sarah Fortes from Wisconsin. She's a very great actress, got a very great personality, really fun to work with. We're working on some stuff now, so we got maybe like 4 episodes. We're not gonna do any more than that, but just something a little different. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes you got to switch it up a little bit. Kind of
That's true.
same kind of formula, but just like different characters, different people.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. Okay. Give yourself a shout out.
Well, I just want to say Wade Simmons, Chicago born and raised. I'm not really focusing on where I'm from, but I'm always focusing on where God has taken me. So, I would encourage anybody, just if you have a dream, just make it a reality. Just keep the faith, trust God, and don't be afraid to take the risk because, people call it failure, but it's only a stepping stone. And nobody does anything great without having to overcome trials and tribulations. So that's all I have to say.
Yes. And lastly, like, tell people where they can follow you at on social media or they can watch your films.
Oh yeah, so you can find my film work on Vimeo, Wade Filmmaker 777 on Vimeo, and then also you can find me on Instagram, Wade Jedi 99, and you can find me on Facebook, Wade Simmons. Feel free to reach out, DM. Look, when I see people work that I like, I DM them all the time. I'm not, me, I'm not one of them people that like, just focus on what I'm doing. I love seeing everybody thrive and win, so I love connecting with people. So feel free to reach out.
Okay. Do you have like any like wrestling coming up? Wrestling
Well,
things coming up?
I'm working on the documentary. Like I said, I
Okay,
trained
that
for it. I never, I never did like no live performances or nothing. Because
oh,
me, because it's like me, I did it more as a hobby, and I explained that to them. Like, they were like, yeah, we're gonna keep it. I'm like, no, no, look, I already got other obligations, and then I'm an independent filmmaker. Then I got
yeah.
so I couldn't commit too much time to it, but I did it as a hobby. It was fun. And maybe God willing someday I may do something with it. But it's like I think sometimes it's okay just to do stuff for fun too.
Mhm.
Not everybody. It's the same thing with film. Like not everybody is looking to put stuff on Netflix or
Yeah.
or things. Some people just like to do it and they like, look, I'll put it on Facebook. I got one friend. He said even with college, right? He said, well, it ain't going no school. My school is YouTube University, baby.
For real, U2 University is the best. Okay.
Yep, it is.
Yep, you ain't lying. So I
Yeah, so
want to thank
everybody's different.
yeah. I'm sorry.
No, I said everybody's different.
Yeah, you're right. Because I use YouTube for everything. I use YouTube for like podcasting. Okay. I use YouTube for everything. How to like figure out different like marketing methods for TikTok. Yes. So I encourage, if you really want to do some research on your field, go on YouTube because they have.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
they
you'll
do.
learn a lot of stuff too. And I mean, I think that's a good thing though. Like, why keep the information when, people can do some things on their own, which I don't knock them, save yourself some money sometimes.
Real. Yes, I completely understand that. And I want to thank you so much for coming on Navigator Now podcast today.
Thank you for having me. And anytime you want me again, I'm more happy to be here.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Cause you might have to film my documentary. You never
I
know.
got you.
Okay, you
I
need
look,
to.
I keep in contact with just about everybody that interview me because again, one thing about me when I cross paths with people and connect with people, I never wanted to be like a one-time thing. Like, no, we all help us one to another. So, I'm definitely going to support your platform and tell other people about you as well. So I appreciate you for having me.
Of course, you're welcome. And remember, yes, life was delayed, but it never gave denied. I'm your host, Annika Laquette, and you just listened to Never Gave Denied podcast featuring Wade. Bye.